Hello, everybody. It's me, Mike. Welcome. 2022. Can you believe it? Wow. Another year. Oh, here we go. All right. Yeah. So another year, and welcome. My first Monday of 2022. That's pretty amazing. Um, it is snowing. Well, it was snowing up here in the Pacific Northwest, and it is now raining. So we've got a slushy mess up here. I hope that the weather is a little bit nicer wherever you happen to be at today. So I'm going to be basically just taking questions in the chat and talking about chat today. So if you have any questions for me, please put them in the chat and I will get to them. And if there are no questions in the chat, then I'm going to talk about chat, because I think that chat is one of those things that is going to be, it's central to a lot of the stuff that we do online. You can't directly talk to everybody all at the same time. That's one of the things that I learned early on with Zoom, is that it's one person at a time. You really have to take turns. And so the chat, on the other hand, you can have a whole list of who's interacting with you, who's saying hi, and then that's what a lot of the interaction with your audience, that's where that happens, is in the chat, or can happen in the chat. And so it's a fantastic way to engage your audience, but you have to moderate it, and that's where moderators come in. And so everybody who is a moderator out there, if that's what you do, or if you have done that before in any capacity, much respect to you. There's a lot that goes on in the background that that needs to be handled, that needs to be some troubleshooting. Either it's maybe somebody with a question, or somebody who's not doing something particularly nice. Fireworks. I don't know if you heard that, but we still have some fireworks left over from New Year's, apparently. But so yeah, chat. It's a fantastic way to engage with your audience, but managing it can be a bit of a chore. And so if you're doing a presentation, if you're the presenter, then it's really a matter of you should have somebody who can manage that on the side, or build that into your particular stream. So for me, I'm running this today by myself. I have a few viewers, few people out there. Thank you if you're watching right now. Appreciate it. I'm pretty new to this, so I'm just getting an audience going, and I try to keep it at least somewhat entertaining most of the time. Try to do something, usually talk about technology or software, but a lot of this comes down to the human interaction, the people. We can get very skilled with the settings and your workflow, but you've always have that human element to things that it can be. It's people, So there's a couple of different things that the chat is not one thing. It's a whole spectrum of things. But basically, it's a text-based interaction. So you can use it live like this. So if I have somebody who wants to, send me a message, you can do that, and I'll pick it up through one of my different monitors, or even asynchronously. After you have a video posted, you could take, chat comments in those. And so you're engaging your audience, even if you might not be live. So future people, if you're out there who found this video and you're watching this on your own time when it's a little bit more convenient for you, thank you. So leave a message in the chat. So my name is Michael Kyer, and I've been streaming now since the beginning of March in 2020. and I jumped on with my church to help them get their Sunday services out. And I've been working with Zoom and streaming ever since. And so I've gotten a lot of experience with chat and troubleshooting and taking questions. And one of the big things is technical questions that you get from your audience. It might not be directly related to what you're talking about, but those technical questions of, especially in a Zoom meeting, how can I fix a problem, or what about this? And so it comes to a point where you really have to channel all of those questions into different places that you can monitor them. So in, say, a Zoom meeting, you could set your chat so that the audience can only speak to the host or the co-host. So it's not displaying to the entire audience, but the host and the co-hosts can know if there's a problem or there's an issue or something along like that. So that comes down to the moderating that conversation in that real-time conversation, moderating that. And so you're filtering it, you're channeling it, then you're sorting it as to what's important. And I try to engage with everybody who posts a comment, mainly because I don't have too many comments right now, which is fine. But if there is a comment, then I try to engage with that. But you can't engage with every single comment. In a Zoom meeting with a lot of people, you've got a lot of different potential questions that may pop up. If you are a popular Twitch streamer, you could have just hundreds and hundreds of messages coming in, and you have to prioritize those. So doing a little thought beforehand as far as what those priorities for you are is a good thing to keep in mind. So for me, I want to engage with questions about chat today. That's my main focus. But I'm always open to questions about software or questions about live streaming. But I might get a completely random somebody trying to post a link that I don't necessarily want to have up on my stream, and I've had a couple of those. And so my filters that I have in place to try and deal with that, I've thought through those, and it's a matter of testing and practicing. It really is. Most of the time, I've had problems with YouTube. With somebody trying to get a link in that's not a link, but that looks like a link, to try and redirect traffic or something along those lines. And it comes with the territory when you're streaming. So if you're new to streaming, you're going to hear bad stories about trolls. And it's something you have to prepare for and just be ready to deal with. And there's different levels of trolling. There really are. And so you've got your, the nasty ones that are trying to put nasty things into your chat or into your stream, and those you want to, obviously eliminate. Or ban or block or hide or whatever. So I'm going to be going through my my different channels and seeing who's out there and who's saying what. But if you have a question for me, by all means put it in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to go ahead and open up some of my stuff right now and see just if we've got any chats coming in. And yes, we do. Yeah, well, YouTube. What are you going to do? Let's see. My stream looks good. I've got a few viewers out there. Appreciate you stopping by. If you're here, please say hello in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. The nice thing about chat is that it is a little bit more anonymous than being live on camera like me. A lot of people have, you're hesitant about being on video or interacting in that way. Even on a Zoom meeting, lots of us know that we're not comfortable looking at ourselves all day long or whatever it is. So chat can be a way that is a little bit more comfortable for your audience to interact with you. Morning, Joe. I see you out there. Good morning. Thanks for stopping by. I've got just getting started here, doing a little chatting about chat, taking questions, just saying hi, taking it easy on this first Monday in 2022. So if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know how you're doing. Anybody else out there, if you happen to be out there, my name is Michael Kyer, and I stream. I work on streaming. I work with other folks who stream, especially new people. That's one of the things that the group of people that I spend a lot of time with is new streamers who are trying to get comfortable with it and get started. So if you're out there and you're new, by all means, leave a message, and if you have a question, I can get to it. So filtering your chat messages, that was one thing I was talking about. Monitoring them, having a moderator, that's important. And so right now I'm using Restream to send out my stream. And so I've got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different platforms that I'm streaming to right now. And so that's 5 different sources of chat that I could be potentially having to deal with. Let me see. Yep. So for me, when I'm using Restream, the way it's set up is that it will relay all of those chat messages from those different platforms to one central display from Restream. So if I'm getting somebody from YouTube or from Twitch, that will all show up in one place for me. Now, if you're not using Restream and you only have the one platform, it's a little bit easier to begin with. So if you're starting out, I would suggest starting off with just one platform and then go from there. And then once you get used to handling chat and not getting completely distracted by it when you're moving along, then add more platforms. And you can use something like Restream to distribute that out to more streaming more platforms, more websites. And there's alternatives too. StreamYard, that's one. I couldn't remember the name of it there for a second. StreamYard is one, and there's others as well. But that gives you what they call it, multi-streaming or simulcast, or there's any number of descriptors for it, but it's basically sending out your one feed to multiple places. And so right now, like I said, I've got 5 that I'm sending to, all centralized, relayed into one display for me. And I also have up all my individual platforms. So I've got my Twitch Stream Manager open and YouTube open, and I have those as separate windows, and that can put a load on your system if you've got an underpowered system, or maybe you're just not used to holding a bunch of windows all over the place at the same time. So keeping an idea of what is comfortable for you. So that's why I suggest starting off with just the one platform, and then adding from there until you can get to something that's a little bit more manageable for you. Oh, and I forgot. I'm actually going to 6 platforms because I've also got Discord open. So on top of all those others, I've got my Discord server open, and that's a whole other thing. That's potentially could be hundreds or thousands of people, and 6. Okay. Could be, hundreds of thousands of people, or not hundreds. It could be hundreds, could be thousands. And that's a lot of potential input, depending on your particular, what it is you're putting out. For me, most of the time I'm talking about software. There's not a ton of questions. It's mostly presentations. But if you're doing music, or you're, an artist or something like that, where you have that interaction going, then you're going to be having that whole separate thing. Chat's a whole separate thing to deal with. So I'm going to go through and look at some of my my chat channels and see how they're showing up. I've got Twitch going. Looks like I've got 3 viewers. And let's see. Oh, there's Joe. Do I have a threshold of number of platforms or number of viewers that demands a dedicated moderator? Or do you believe you should always have a moderator for chat? So, yes and yes. I guess the threshold of number of platforms is what you're comfortable with. If you're only comfortable monitoring one, then it's one. If you're comfortable monitoring hundreds and hundreds, then that's what's comfortable for you. Number of viewers, number of viewers is interesting because, and that's a good question. I appreciate you bringing that up. Number of viewers, when, say you've got a Zoom meeting and you've got 200 people in it, the majority of the time, only a few people are going to be chatting at any particular time, adding their 2 bits. So you could have an audience of thousands, and you may only have a handful of people chatting. So it really depends on the popularity of your own particular stream. You may have an entire 50 people who are willing to add something to your chat. And then you'll get that feeling of that, oh, I need help. I need help moderating this. Now, personally, to get to Joe's second part of this is, I believe there should always have a moderator? Yeah, I don't actually think that you should do any sort of streaming alone. I think that you should always fly with somebody to keep an eye, either on the technical bits of it or on the chat if you're using it. Having that second set of eyes always on it is a really good is a best practice. So and Joe, I work with Joe a lot, and we it's a constant it's a constant interaction between the presenter and whoever's supporting them, whether it's a co-host in a Zoom meeting or a moderator along these lines, or just another presenter that can help keep you on track. Sometimes I can get very distracted if when I first was getting people putting stuff up in the chat, I was just excited to have one person interacting, right? One person saying hi was just a fantastic thing for me. But whatever my presentation was completely out the door, because I was excited about that. And when I moderate for other people, it's still exciting. It's still knowing that there's folks out there who are at least semi-interested in what you have to say. So definitely, if you have a chance to have a moderator with you, have somebody who can back you up, I highly suggest it. But again, if you're only by yourself, the best place to start is keep it simple. Keep one chat, or maybe no chat, maybe no chat at all. But start with one, start simply, and then move on from there. Joe, let's see. Oh, yes. What kind of a relationship and communication do you need between the host and the mod? That's a great question as well. Thanks for that one. The relationship and communication, asynchronous communication, that's one thing that we use that's really what chat is. Chat takes a question and it holds it. So I don't have to get to any of Joe's questions right now. Joe's got all sorts of questions. I don't have to talk to them at all. but that's in my chat and I can refer back to that. So that's really an asynchronous way of communicating. And you can use any chat platform for that. You could use your live chat that you're displaying on your screen. I'm not displaying it right now, but you could use that. You could use an entire other program. When I first started streaming, we were using Zoom channels, and so that's more or less a single conversation thread, but that was a separate platform from the in-meeting chat that you have in Zoom. So your moderators or your co-hosts and your hosts could have a separate conversation off to one side, and that's not going to be displayed to your audience. But that's a second thing to be thinking about. That's another thing to be monitoring, another thing to be watching. So it doesn't even need to be a complicated program. It could be just a text message on your phone between you and your co-host. That's what you're comfortable with. It's whatever platform you're comfortable with. And you could use Teams, you could use Skype, you could use any number of things. But it's something dedicated off to the side that is a way to communicate in behind the scenes, so that nobody else knows, and you can have those if there's a technical question that comes up, or there's something that really is critical that you want to get to. That is a way that you can keep that off to the side, and be able to deal with that, hopefully in real time. But again, with the asynchronous, you've got that list, that text list that you can refer back to. Yeah, so those are great questions. I appreciate it. Anybody else out there? I've got a few more viewers on Twitch. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check YouTube. I haven't checked YouTube yet. I had some problems with folks posting some, try to get around my filters. But Restream's sending them out, and let's see. I'm going to, looks like they're showing up, so that means my YouTube postings are not showing up the way I wanted them to. Okay, so I hid that one. If you saw that one, Joe, that was one of the ones I was talking about. So those little short URLs, or they look like a URL, that's not a URL. That is a way to try and add a link to your chat that's not a link, that's going to redirect people away from, if they type, hey, what is blah, 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 they're going to find something that they don't want to find. So if you see things in the chat that you don't like, it's always, give the presenter or the moderators a heads up that there's something, hey, I see something I don't like, or whatever it is. And so I'm still trying to get my YouTube thing figured out, how that works with Restream, and looks like I've got some adjustments to do on my my settings there. So I'm going to see how that shows up. But that looks, for the most part, that looks okay. So I'm going to leave that. And I've got my live streaming, my live chat in YouTube. Let's see, participants. Okay, so yeah, I've definitely got some work to do with YouTube as far as how that interacts with my stream and how I want that interacting. So yeah. I'm going to go back to another thing here, Joe, as far as the relationship that you have with your moderator and your presenter. And it's got to be, it goes back to your planning stages. And I've talked about this in some of my earlier streams, that the planning and preparation stages of any Zoom meeting or any live streaming are really most important. And so having that communication ahead of time of what we're going to be doing, Are we going to have an agenda? Is there going to be a point to this that we're trying to get to? Today I'm just chatting about chatting, so I'm just kind of all over the place. But that communication in the preparation stages is really critical, so that when things come up, you've prepared yourself. I've prepared myself for some of this. But when those questions come up, you've got a game plan. Just like anything, you've got a game plan of this is how we're going to deal with it. The easiest thing to do is just to shut it off. That's my most favorite button on the internet, is just the turn it off button. That is the best way to deal with things. Sometimes if you get overwhelmed, with even with the volume coming in on chat, you can turn that off or throw in another filter. Maybe I only want my people following my channel to be able to chat. That will eliminate some of the general audience, and it's not meant to be mean or anything, but it's a way to help slow down and bring that chat volume to something that's a little bit more manageable. So preparing for that, giving a game plan of which way you want to go into that is a great idea. So getting in here about half an hour, I just wanted to say hi to anybody who's coming in late, coming in just now to my stream. My name is Michael Kyer, and I've been streaming since the beginning of quarantine, and I started off with Zoom, and it was just to a small audience of about 200 people. Well, that's a pretty big audience, actually. A small audience is just me and a friend, like me and Joe, out here talking to just whoever happens to show up. So not a ton of people, but when I first started off, I started off with Zoom, and we had about 200, and that was out of 200, we would get maybe 10 who would want to communicate in the chat, and that's fine. But that's where I learned how to deal with chat, and how to monitor, and how to troubleshoot, and how to filter, all those things that I generally talk about ad infinitum. If you give me a chance, I'll just keep talking. I was told once that I can talk for 45 minutes to a sock, or talk about 45 minutes about a sock. And that's true, because one of the things I've learned when I was growing up is how to chat, how to have a conversation. And that I had a big family. I've got 3 aunts and an uncle and my mom, and it's a big family. And so when we would get together, there's just this whole entire huge group of people, and you kind of get used to how conversations happen. And so I know a lot of folks out there aren't necessarily comfortable with that, and aren't necessarily comfortable with live speaking. So getting used to how to chat just generally, not necessarily even online, that's a whole other skill set. And so the best way to do it, if you haven't done it, is to practice. And so get your stream going, get your content moving, and put the chat up there and see who shows up and who says hi. So that's kind of what I've been doing for a long time now, and I enjoy helping others try and figure some of that out. And if you don't, if you're brand new to this, I'm more than willing to help, more than willing to give pointers. I can always be hired as a moderator if you've got the means for that. But if you're starting out, I'd absolutely love to work with you in some way to help you get moving along. Yeah, Toastmasters, that's another one. Thanks, Joe. Public speaking, debate. That's another place that I learned a lot of my talking ability and it came down to preparation. But debate is a huge. If I'm going to have a discussion or an argument with somebody, that's a debate. Is going in and you're thinking about things beforehand. Debate generally has a topic that you're talking about, but when you're doing your preparation stages, you're going to be doing that preparation. So writing out a script, practicing in front of a mirror. That's a big one. Get up there and just get used to seeing yourself. If you're not ready to go right live onto YouTube or onto Twitch, get up there and just look at yourself and get used to talking to yourself. That's sort of what I'm doing. I'm in my room by myself right now, but I know that I've got some folks out there on Twitch watching, and actually, let's check to see if we have any viewers on. Any viewers on YouTube? That's what we're gonna check. I don't know if we have. Here we go. All right. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Let's see. Got a couple out there. Saying hi in the chat. All right. Oh, we got another one on Twitch. Fake ID. Oh, okay. Fake ID. Nice. Okay, Conrad, I'm not sure who you are, but I appreciate the chat. Appreciate you saying hi. If you're somebody I know, let me know who you are. I like Twitch because you have to have a cool Twitch name. So it's one of those things that makes folks maybe a little bit comfortable, not necessarily using their real name to post things. And that's okay, as long as what you're putting in the chat, you're helping out with somebody, you're doing something positive, you're adding to the conversation. Even just a, hey, how you doing? You're doing great, that's a lot of what I will add to other folks' chat if I think that they're, I enjoy what they're saying. The presenter really, can benefit from that feedback. So, asking for that feedback is really critical, is to encourage your audience. Even for me, I know that a lot of folks will view my stuff in the future. So future people, please comment, leave a chat. I'm constantly, monitoring the things that I've put up there, and so it's just an awesome thing to get that feedback from your audience. Taylor Green Band, I'm not sure who that is, but I'm sure that there's any number of reasons for folks to get banned. So if you give me a little bit more background context on that, then I could probably answer that a little bit better. But generally banning people, it's a matter of your what you want in your chat or what they're saying. There's all sorts of nastiness that can happen out there on the internet. It is, the internet is what the internet is. It can be a cesspool. It can be a wonderful thing. There's fantastic communities out there. So if you run into somebody that needs to get banned, or I'm sure I can Google this and find out real quick. I'm somebody that I'm not familiar with, but I will look. Oh, I know who this is. Yep. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I do know who that is. So this is somebody who is one of our officials. Yeah, the lady from Georgia, I believe, is who she is. Don't necessarily agree with the politics, but when it comes to the content itself, that particular ban that you're referring to was one about misinformation, and it was something about the coronavirus and that stuff. So that's nothing to play with. That stuff is a real thing. So in that particular context, I think Twitter is currently giving you 4 or 5 after 4 or 5 misinformation things about coronavirus, that's when they're cutting off your stream or banning your stream. And I think that's what happened there. That was after 4 or 5 pieces that were just not good science, were that was that's when that ban took place. And it's an unfortunate thing, but it's one of those that that is, specific to each platform. Twitch has its own um, threshold, basically, of what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And, you're dealing with your, what do you call them, your algorithms. You're dealing with those as well that are catching either bad words or particular types of speech that you have to deal with. That's another thing. And so when you get into that territory, when you're getting into political, comments, or especially the stuff when it comes to coronavirus or any of the other things that have been in the news for the last year, 2 years, 4 years, more, that you really get into some delicate territory when it comes to free speech. And one of the things that I studied in college was free speech. And the truth is, free speech is not completely free. There are a number of things that are not, it's not a free for all where you get to say everything you want. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, is that there are limitations to that. And in those particular platforms, that's an even further filter, an agreed upon standard of conduct beforehand. And so things that are, complete misinformation, or hate speech or things like that, those are in the community's agreed upon standards of conduct. And if those are violated, you get banned. And so the same thing with my stream. Something in Twitch that Twitch might allow, I would not allow in my stream. So it's a lever. It goes back to what I was talking about, is those filters that exist that are in place. So you just don't, the free speech is not completely free, and so there are limitations on that. Am I an educator? Yes, I'm an educator. I've been an educator for a very long time. I've homeschooled my kids. I've worked with public schools. I've helped individual organizations in teaching there, and so I've gotten a lot of experience with how to present information. And it's the preparation. It goes right back to preparation. And so when you're dealing with asynchronous chat or asynchronous communication or live communication, each one of those is a different skill set. And so having that experience, is good to help with this live streaming that we're doing out here. And so let's see. Let me see. I'm going to double check now. Getting on about 40 minutes here. Let's see. What have we got going on? Anybody? Well, we've got some folks in Twitch. Yep. Hello. I appreciate you being here. That one is sort of, let's see. Yep. Oh, we got plenty. Wow, that's great. Everybody watching, thanks. I think this may be the most users in chat I've had yet, so that's fantastic. First Monday of the year. That's a great start. It's wonderful. I know that there's a lot of things that aren't great going out there right now, and this coronavirus and the Omicron are terrible. So if you are eligible to get your vaccines, do so, please. It's good for you. It's good for your friends. It's good for your neighbors. It's good for everybody. We need to get ahead of this so that we can get back to something a little bit more normal. So this is awesome. I love this. I know that online is something that's difficult. That's new. It's very new for a lot of folks. Last year, right, just in Zoom's case, all of a sudden overnight, we've got millions of people who are dealing with this new way of interacting with things. So, it's a big deal, and this is great. I appreciate it. Anybody in the future, if you happen to be out there and you're seeing, we've got a number of folks here. So stop by when I'm live. I'm live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, and I'm talking about streaming software generally, best practices for moderating conversations, and all of those things that go into this whole new perspective on things is a lot of what I talk about. So, homeschooling. Why homeschooling? You don't understand the benefits of it. Yeah, well, there's lots of benefits to it. There are a number of things that are broken with the education system, and a lot of it goes to how many students a teacher can handle. Same thing with the chat that I'm talking about today. How many people can I handle talking to at any one time? For public schoolers, you've got an average of say 30 people and 30 live people. That's a big group of people to try and interact with. So one of the benefits of homeschooling is you've got a much smaller audience, and so that you can get a much more in-depth education that way. Well, hopefully, depending, not everybody's cut out to do homeschooling, and it's the same way with this. Not everybody's cut out to deal with a whole bunch of chat messages, or a whole bunch of audience members, or something along those lines. So yeah, there's lots of reasons to homeschool. I encourage it if you've got the means to do so. And if you're interested in it, that's something, check it out. Do some Googling. I highly encourage it. So, but that's another place that I learned a lot of my skill set from was education. So, Fake ID, KO, I appreciate your questions. These are great. I'm not sure what that one means, but okay. Those are great questions, that brings up a lot of, okay, cute. Anyway, so here goes YouTube. That one is looking like you're going to need to go away, because that's something that we are just not going to deal with. We're just going to have to go. There you go. Sorry, buddy. Don't know who you were, but that was not anything that was nice. So if anybody out there saw that, I apologize for that, because that was one of those things that is just goes with the territory. You're going to get folks who, post nastiness in your stream. So something to plan for ahead of time. If you've got a family-friendly stream, you're going to want to maybe keep your chat moderation a little tighter. You're going to want to keep that, keep your moderators a heads up, that we're out there, keeping our eyes open. That's what moderators do. They keep their eyes open for any sort of garbage that comes through, makes it past your filters, makes it past your moderator, makes it past your sorting process, whatever. That's what your moderator's for, and that's why they're important. Keep an eye on, what's going on. So let's see, we got that one covered. Let's see what else we got. Oh, we need to check Facebook. I need to check Facebook. I haven't checked Facebook. If you're out there on Facebook, I appreciate you stopping by. That one is a little bit more isolated from my feed, but okay, I'm not getting anybody over there, so that's all right. Let's take a look at Twitter. Twitter looks fine. I'm not getting anybody through there. So you folks out on Twitch, I appreciate you stopping by. It looks like you're the majority of the folks watching today, so extra double thanks to you for stopping by. This is the most folks I've had in chat, so this is just this tickles me. I love it. Even with some of the problem I had earlier here a second ago with whoever was not the nice person, putting their stuff in chat. It's unfortunate, but one of the things with that anonymity that goes along with chat is that it makes it easier for folks that are hurting to interact or to put their whatever their pain, their hurt out there is. And you can take it personally, but it's really best not to, because it's a distraction in many cases. And so we should support those folks who are out there, who are hurting, who are putting out negative comments, negative things out there into the world. We should support them, but we don't have to tolerate that in your chat. You don't have to interact with that if you don't want to. It goes back to your planning stages. If you've got some sort of an eye on that, get in there with your moderator, plan with them ahead of time, and you can keep ahead of some of the garbage out there. And there's a lot of it. The internet's a huge place. As far as size of it goes, Google how big the internet is, and that sort of blew my mind as far as exactly how large this is. And in some cases, it's not really easily measurable exactly how big the internet actually is. And so it's all of humanity, good, bad, and ugly, good, bad, and nasty. It's out there. So, when you're planning your stream, if you're going to plan a family-friendly stream, keep in mind where your audience potentially is coming from. If you've got your YouTube chat wide open, then you're going to get things that aren't nice. But if it's just a small group of your friends, Zoom meetings, when we were first starting off with Zoom meetings, dealing with trolls in Zoom meetings was a big deal, because a lot of folks were posting a link to their Zoom meeting directly on the open internet. And so there's a question about what I mean about open internet. I think I'm going to touch on that here in a second. I want to get back to fake IDs. Question there in a second about social aspects of homeschooling, because that's an important question. That's something near and dear to my heart. But what I want to get to is, let's see, double check. Yeah, looking good. Okay. The posting your links out there on the internet. So you've got a number of different levels to the internet. You might have heard these: the surface internet, the deep web, all those different levels to it. And the surface web is what you Google, what you first see, what your search engines will pull up. So I can watch Twitch without having to sign into Twitch. So I can just watch that program, or something on YouTube, and that's your surface web. That's what your search engines are going to pull up. Now, if you log into something, you log into Twitch, you're now in the deep web. Anything that is, you're now interacting in a deeper level with that website or that service. That's the deep web. And so it's sort of it's not a bad place, because we're all a lot of the time on the deep web. So all you folks on Twitch right now, that's actually where you're at. And so the more of those filters that are in place, depending on where you're putting your links, is going to be, one of the things that will determine who's able to comment in your chat. So a Zoom meeting, if it was just a Zoom meeting with your friends or a community group you're with, then you go post that on the open internet, then anybody's going to be able to show up to your meeting, and that may not be something that you want to do. And so having that link, just sent directly to the folks that you want to have in there, or posted in, behind login, where you would have to log into a website, or like if it was a database, or a private Facebook group, or a Facebook page, something along those lines, where you have to identify who you are, before you're allowed in, is a way to, that's one of those filters that you can put in there. So thinking ahead of time of, who your audience is, who is it that you want to be putting your message out there to. And so for me, I'm putting my message out to new people. So a lot of my stuff is posted, out on the open internet where anybody can see it, because I want new people to be able to access it. I don't want them necessarily have to go through a bunch of different hoops to get through to see my content. But if what you're doing is a little bit more personal, a little bit more private, then where you're putting that is an important consideration. Social aspects about homeschooling, yeah, that's something that is in my mind, that's a false thing. Social aspects, in reality, the social situation that you have with 30 students in of the same age, as the main group, that's actually abnormal. When you're interacting out there in the real world, as some folks like to say, you're interacting with folks of all sorts of ages, all different types of people. So socialization, in my mind, getting out in, going to even just the grocery store is a socialization thing that you can learn. And if you want to isolate, you don't want to talk to other people, that's a concern. But that's a personal choice for a lot of homeschoolers, and a lot of folks homeschool for they filter. That's a filter. They don't want to have that public school, what's coming out of there. Maybe their student has learning challenges of some sort that are not conducive. So they're putting their own filters in place already. And so the social aspects of it, that's somebody who's homeschooling is thinking about those filters, thinking about those social aspects of things. And it's not necessarily good socialization. A lot of the things that take place in public school, in the classrooms, when the teacher's not moderating, because that's a lot what a teacher does, is they moderate. They moderate those discussions, and they moderate how those discussions are happening. They put in those standards of conduct, the things we're agreeing on. This is how we're going to go and operate. And they, with so many people, in live, that's not necessarily something that they can do. And the teachers that are lucky enough to have, an assistant, that assistant would act as the moderator, and they could keep that second set of eyes on what's happening with the class or with whatever. But there's just so much that you can't moderate. And the same thing with this chat. There's only so much that you can moderate. You can say, this is going to be our standard of conduct, but not everybody's going to agree to it. Not everybody's going to play nicely. And so the moderators, the teachers that are out there, the educators, those folks are the ones who are in charge of doing that for whatever their particular platform is. So yeah, socialization, that's a big question. I think that a lot of people misunderstand what that actually means. It's learning how to talk to people, learning how to chat with people, learning how to interact with people is important, but you can get that from anywhere. You can get that from going to, just going out in public. And, you're not going to chat with everybody you meet, but you're going to see all sorts of different people. And that's what we see out here on the internet, and that's what we're dealing with. So if you're utilizing chat, if you're getting ready to use chat in some way, these are all major considerations that you're going to be, really be thinking about as far as how are we going to deal with this. So My name is Michael Kyer, and I'm out here on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, putting out all sorts of information about streaming. And today, just chatting about chatting. Um, I don't know, something I enjoy. I really enjoy it. And dealing with the chat. I've had a lot of experience with it. I've been working with it since March of 2020. So it's something that I sort of understand as far as all of the different potential, things you're going to run into. You're going to have great questions. You're going to have, technical questions. You're going to have completely non sequitur questions that have got nothing to do with, what you're presenting, or trying to do. And so those are, sometimes, those are something you got to deal with too. And maybe something interesting pops up, just like today, the chats that we've been talking about today. These weren't questions that I was, I didn't know these people were going to show up. If you did, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is probably the most chats I've had so far. So this is quite a treat for me. And so any future people, if you've been watching, please, more chats. That's great. But so let's see. I'm getting here just about an hour. That's usually about as long as I go. Try and talk about something new every day. And a little preview of this month. We're going to be going through some more software. Some editing software. We're going to do some more broadcasting software, and there was another one that I was going to do. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. See, YouTube. Boy, oh boy, I'm going to just have to go and fix that because we are not going to do that. So if you guys are watching YouTube at all, you're going to see a couple of these things pop up that I'm going to try and block. So if you can see them still, then let me know and I will try and block those. But preview for the year. We're going to be doing a bunch of different things. I'll be on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Putting out some good stuff, putting out some good content, something positive. And for all you folks out there that are, not putting things out there that are positive in other folks' chat, I feel for you. I really do. And I hope that you can find some peace and some comfort somewhere in, change. So anyway, I'll leave it at that for now. If you are, one last thing, if you're out there, you're eligible for vaccines, please, 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 please get them. It's good for you. It's good for your family, good for your friends, good for your neighbors, good for everybody. We need to get out there ahead of this thing and get back to some semblance of normal. So I'm going to leave it there. If you have any thoughts about any of this in the future, stop by. Leave me an asynchronous chat, when I'm not going to necessarily see you while I'm live, but I'll try and get to any questions I might have. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a great 2022. I think that this is going to be a great year. I think that we're going to make a lot of progress. So I hope to see you soon, and as always,